everyone. So this video is probably one of my top most requested videos ever, and I've definitely teased it for a very long time. So this is the story of how my Airbnb host in Switzerland literally kidnapped me. Okay, so some backstory. In the spring of 2018, I was fresh off my company going bankrupt, and I was like, screw it, let's go to Europe. So I abruptly left for Europe with no plan, and basically I was making it up as I went for about 2 months. So after a magical week in Paris, I was like, cool, let's go to Switzerland and then I'll hit up Italy. And I had been kind of jumping between hotels, hostels, Airbnbs. Like I was just kind of switching off, finding the most in budget kind of thing for me. And in Paris, I had stayed at an actual hotel for 5 whole days. And then for Switzerland, I couldn't really find a hostel or a hotel like within my budget. So I was like, okay, I'll do an Airbnb. And I found this one that was really nice, but there was a few red flags. First of all, this one did not have any reviews. I get everyone has to have a first time like visitor, but I was like, but the host had other reviews on a different property. So I was like, okay, at least this guy's legit and people have stayed at his other property. Second red flag is that it was a guy. I have pretty much never stayed at a man's Airbnb unless it was like host Tom and his wife Cheryl, and like, you know, that the wife is involved somehow. Like I had never stayed with just a guy, but I was like, it's gonna be 2 nights, easy, I'll be exploring all day, it's whatever. So as I'm on the train from Paris to Lucerne, I get a WhatsApp message from my host Rainier. I'll probably say Rainer because I'm a stupid American from New Jersey with a bad accent. So he's like, if you want, I can pick you up from the train station. I was like, cool, that's really nice, okay. So I get off the train and I see this like, literally a 16-year-old skater kid from 2003. And it was Rainer. And here's the first bad sign of the night. I hit my head getting in the car. And something I pick up on immediately is that there's the friend driving, there's a girl in the front seat, and me and Rainer sit in the back. And you always hear within like sex trafficking and stuff that they'll always have like another woman around to kind of make you feel safe, because you'd be like, oh, if they're not, you know, kidnapping her, like I'm fine, like there's another girl here, everything's fine. So like that I immediately thought of. And then Rainer's like, we need to stop in my old house, pick something up, and then we'll go back to my house. And I'm already in the car, so it's not like I'm gonna be like, no, like, you know? So I was like, trying to be like, okay, because I truly assumed we'd go to that house, pick something up, and leave. Spoiler alert, we did not. So the girl sitting in the front seat got my wheels spinning, and then on the way to the old house or the friend's house, the driver was taking so many twists and turns. And again, the bells went off. I'm like, are they trying to disorient me? Because like if I had to escape, I could easily be like, oh, we took 2 lefts and a right and that's how I can get back. They were really like winding all over the place. And again, I'm like, I think they're trying to disorient me to make me kind of lost and not be able to find my way home. Finally, we get to this house. It is beautiful. It's looking over Lake Lucerne. It's like a fairy tale. And I was like, wow. But Rainer makes me take all my stuff out. So I have my rolling suitcase, a backpack with like all my expensive stuff in there. So I had like my laptop, my camera, phone, all that stuff. And I had like $600 in cash. So I had to take everything with me into this house that I thought we'd be there for 5 minutes. We go into this like sunroom, again, looking over Lake Lucerne, beautiful. And the most disgusting character I have ever seen in my life is sitting there. And guys, I lived in South New Jersey for 4 years. I know disgusting. This guy was crusty AF. Like, I'm thinking, oh, just like a mix of like Joe Dirt and like James Franco's character from Spring Breakers. If they had a kid and it was even more disgusting, that would be this guy. And I was truly like taken aback. I was like, like when I saw him. Crusty, gross, ugh. And Rainer and the 2 friends that drove us there were like, sit down, like have a beer, like we're just gonna like hang out and then we'll go. I was like, again, I'm just trying to go with the flow and not be a cunt, so I'm like just sitting there. And you know when you're like at a friend's house and you sit down, you're like, everything's cool, like you like truly relax. I was so uptight. It was like that like first time babysitting at a new house and you're like, you know, like very rigid, hanging out on the couch. And I'm trying to have this beer, but I'm like not relaxing. And then like 30 people pour into this house and I was like, and they are all characters too. Everyone really grossed me out. Like I hate to make sweeping assumptions, and especially about people who suffer from addiction, but you know when they show you like, this is Susie in January and this is Susie in March after doing meth, and it's like 60 years have passed. Everyone at this party looked like Susie on meth. Like it was alarming, you know? And then again, you have that language barrier. So like they were all like kind of staring at me and then they'd all laugh at once and I'd be like, you know? And they were weirdly petting me and I was like, this is not cool. And the guy who drove us, I keep looking over at him and he's just like ripping back shots. I'm like, I'm not getting in a fucking car with this guy now. So I'm like looking up Ubers, bus schedules, Lyfts, like anything for me to get the fuck out of here. And there's no Ubers or Lyfts in Switzerland. Maybe there is now, but in 2018, there was no such thing. And I keep looking over at my host like, are we done here? Are we gonna leave soon? And he's like, the guy who drove us will take us back. Like, just give him a couple more minutes. And I was like, okay, fine. And this never happens. The guy continues to rip back shots. And then I was like, can I just get the fuck out of here? I'll just leave. And Rainer was like, oh, the last bus was at 10. And it was like 10:15. I was like, why didn't you tell me this? You can obviously tell I'm not having a good time. I was literally sitting there surrounded by these cuckoos, sitting there like this, like having an outward bad time. And then part of me was like, does he do this to other guests? I was 28, 29 at the time, but I'm like, what if I was like a 35-year-old like woman, like an adult? Like, would you still bring your guest to a crack house and a weird party? You know, like, what are you thinking? And then at this point I storm off and I go in another room, and even some of these crazy people are like, oh, you don't want to be here, do you? Like, just tell Rainer. I'm like, I told him, and there's no way out of here. So I'm like, other people are picking up that I'm really unhappy. I feel so unsafe. There was even a point where I went to the bathroom and I took a picture and I was like, am I getting sex trafficked or am I just at a party where everyone's speaking German? Also at this point, I'm tweeting Airbnb help. I'm like, I think I'm being kidnapped. Like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Please help me. And even Airbnb support was like, where are you? Like, let us know your coordinates. And at that point I was like, fuck it, let them kill me. And then Rainer finally was like, okay, we're gonna have to sleep here tonight. And first he takes me to this dungeon basement to get some blankets. And I went off. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is not what I paid for. Do you do this to other people? And for a second I was like, I'm gonna have to fucking sleep on the floor in a basement. Again, this is not what I paid for. And then he takes me upstairs and I slammed the door so hard the entire place shook. And I knew like there was some kind of record scratch moment in like the party area of the house. Like everyone knew that I was like done with it. But he does bring me upstairs and I do get my own room. There's literally nothing in this room, and he throws the blanket on the floor. So it's like the blanket and my suitcase, literally nothing in here. Meanwhile, my phone is dying. My plugs do not work in Switzerland, like outlets, like all the bad things are happening. So then I attempt to go to sleep and I was like, the first thing I'm doing in the morning is bolting out this door. I'm not waiting for a ride. I'm like walking and just like, wherever I end up, that's where I end up. I just want to get away from here. And mind you, as I'm trying to sleep, there's this loud party and like at certain parts, it sounds like there's people right outside my door. And I was like, I made sure it was locked, but I'm like, I don't know these people. I don't know this house. Do they have a key? They could probably get in this room. And again, it's all people I don't know. They're all freaking weird. And I was like, I do not want to wake up with a dick in my face. So I wake up and again, like the sun is shining over Lake Luzerne. I have the most beautiful view I've ever seen in my life, but I had just like lived a nightmare. And here's the part where you're like, Shannon Miller is certifiably insane. So I wake up, I get all my shit together. I have like just enough phone juice to like get to town. My brain is like, how to get revenge. And here's how I was going to extract my revenge. I was gonna take a shit in the closet. So I literally go as far as to pulling down my pants and squatting in this closet. There was just nothing in me. And then I was like, you know what? No. And I get up, pull my pants up, and you know, don't do it. But you know what, looking back 2 years later and I'm a full-grown adult woman, I wish I shit in that closet because fuck them and fuck Rainier. So I get all my stuff and I bolt out the door. I'm like, I'm fucking out of here. I'm like halfway down this hilly street and then the car pulls up behind me and it's like the guy, the girl, and Rainier, and for some reason a giant dog. And he's like, I'm really sorry about last night. I could take you to the train station or I could take you to my actual house. And I was literally gonna strangle this motherfucker. And I was like, you know what? Take me to your house and I can like plan out like get a train or a hostel. But I agreed to go to his house. And we get to his actual house and I'm like, okay, this is what I paid for. Like, this is what was in the listing. What don't you get that you cannot take a foreign guest to a weird party? Like, and sleep there. Again, this is not what I paid for. And I felt unsafe the entire time. So part of me was gonna, you know, get to his house, buy a train ticket and leave immediately. But I was also like, I'm here. I'm never gonna be here again. I just have to do one night here, then I can bolt. So got all my stuff, put it in his room, and then like went out exploring for the day, and everything was fine. Switzerland is the most beautiful place I have ever been in my life. I, you know, slept the one night there and left. Part of me, like, I'm very, for the most part, unconfrontational. I know I like ripped this man a new one in the basement, but like for the most part, I'm very not confrontational, so I never wrote a bad review. I feel like if I had, maybe Airbnb would have like felt bad for me and give me like 500 bucks. That would have been nice. And then by the time I had told so many people the story, they're like, you need to write a bad review. The review section of my like trip had kind of expired, so I never got to do that. But here I am right now letting you all know that Rainer sucks. And even in his initial listing, it was kind of like, we're young, we like to drink with our guests, like if you want to have a beer with us, that'd be fun. And I was okay with that because I've been to other Airbnbs where the host is like, if you want to sit and have a drink, that'd be nice, I'm open to that. And I was like, that's fine. Or even if I was staying at the place I paid for and they had people over and it got a little loud, that's fine with me because I'm still in the place where I paid for and I have my own separate room that is my room. You know, not a blanket on a floor. Rainer did end up refunding me for the one night where I slept on the floor, but I think he really should have like refunded me for both because you kidnapped me. And then like a month later, I was like, let me check up on this motherfucker and his listing. And a few people had stayed there after me and they all left him raving reviews. And I was like, what did the same thing not happen to you? Like, did you not go to a weird party? Like, why did it just happen to me? Like, why does he have 4- and 5-star reviews from other people where I was like, I'm gonna call the cops? Like, why did I get the different treatment? And I don't even think I'm that uptight of a person. Like I said, I was trying to go with the flow at the beginning parts of the night, but then I was like, I'm never getting out of here. And then just to have like weird, shady characters and like 40 of them while I have all my valuables like on my person. So it was just not okay. So that is the story of how I got kidnapped in Switzerland. I don't think that's clickbait because I truly thought I was getting kidnapped. Like, they disoriented me. I had to sleep on the floor. I did not get what I paid for. I was lied to. I felt very unsafe. Like, this was just not good. If anyone from Airbnb is watching this right now and you would like to give me a $500 voucher, hit me up. But yeah, that was definitely the shit stain on my 2-month Euro trip. Like, everything else was fine. I can roll with the punches, but that sucked ass. So whenever I talk about my Euro trip, it's always like, that is the ultimate story, getting kidnapped. Then I would say the foot rub in Nice. And then I would say period stains and cocaine in Amsterdam. Those are my ultimate go-to travel stories. But yeah, I've been teasing this one for 2 years. And there you go. My night of terror in Loser in Switzerland. So I hope that wasn't too much of a tease or a letdown. Like, I truly thought my life was in danger and I almost shit in someone's closet out of revenge. That tells you a lot about me as a person. Okay, thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I would love to go back to Switzerland. Let me know good places to stay that aren't Rainier's house. Never stay with Rainier. And thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.